At this time, we will call the Jeff West 340 Board of Education meeting to order Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. This time, do we have any comments for patrons and guests? Come on, you got some. No communication. The agenda, we have an amendment to the agenda. It's 5-7. You'll see she had added it on diligent. But not till after it was published, so it is.
I don't even have a Bible.
I don't have a Bible.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know what.
It's fine.
You can look online.
Yeah, we can pull it up.
It's on diligent. So, aside that, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
The amended agenda?
The amended agenda, sorry.
I move to approve the amended agenda as presented.
Second.
On favor? Fair enough. Six, I'm sorry. Like, I'm a little wound up already still. Do we get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
On favor? Six oh.
Mhm.
Now we are at academic reports. Whoever wants to go first.
One at a time.
We can do them all at the same time.
Right. Hello, everyone. It was a busy month. As you see, you got two pages. So I won't run through all of that. But I just want to talk a little bit about kindergarten, preschool roundups. It's that time of year. No numbers to report. It's all very building, but we're advertising the next month. There'll be 2 ads for kindergarten, 2 ads for preschool. Just out there promoting siblings, community, talk about it at site council, just, talk about it wherever you're at and let them know, give us a call, get signed up. Let's see. Some new things rolling out is we have our not touch the bus, what do I say? Bus patrol, pickup patrol has been a real big thing. Parents are using it well, secretaries are loving it, teachers are liking it. It's communicating well. We're up to 50 messages a day of changes, and changes just lead to confusion. And this allows parents to go in and make changes without calling the school. We get a printout at 2:45. It shows everyone where everyone's going. And it's been clean and simple, and only a couple of instances where teachers had to call our parents like, what do I do for this? And we worked through it and it's working well.
Are you the only school that uses that?
We are. Yeah, we are just finishing an 8-week free trial. And then they're going to bill us just for the remainder of this year. And then next year we'll look at getting an entire year. It's about $850 for a year. But it's proving to be very reliable, very safe, very easy for everyone to use on both sides. We've even got some dads using it. So good luck.
It's out at 2:45. What about the ones that are before then, like for appointments and stuff? Do they just not know about it?
For teachers?
No, for like the office staff.
They should know. Okay, let me be clear. At 2:30, you have to call in. Just
right. But like, for instance, I picked my kid up early and they were like, oops, we forgot to check it. So is that like they only look at it once a day?
No, they have it on their, computer now. Like today.
Well, it was like last week.
It was on fire today.
Maybe that's
they keep it up all day long, so and they just check in on it every once in a while just to see. Now, they open it up at 9 o'clock. Things get busy. It's lunchtime. Someone shows up at 12:30 and they hadn't looked at it for a minute. So there's some new habits being built around it.
But just to help them, I was just curious when you said the 2:30. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, 2:30 is it shuts off at 2:30 for that day.
Perfect.
And you have to call in because at that point we're sending things to teachers. It is closed.
Perfect.
But we've gone from 50 changes on phone to a couple. And everything else is happening, and you can report absences there as well. So if there's a 4 a.m. sickness, you don't have to get up at 9 and call us. You and your kiddo can just stay home, stay in bed, and not have to get up. And then don't forget, all those things. So it's helped out a lot. So we've been doing some Kansas Day celebrations because it's that time of year. We had 100 days. We had class pictures. The other thing coming on board is Beanstack. I think we talked about that before, but we're getting ready. The password situation got figured out. And we are getting ready to kick that off where students, it's like AR. And students, instead of reading and taking a test and earning points, they read for minutes. Compared to Pepsi and Coke. We're kind of doing the same thing, but it's a little bit different. But we're going to wear one of each shoe on each foot and check it out through May, and then make a decision about next year, which way do we want to go. Beanstack is less expensive, but it has some things we're concerned about on just honesty of minutes is the big one, and using the reading level to target their reading skill. But at the same time, one of our drives is to create a passion of reading, and not reading because I have to take a test to get a point to earn something, but read because I want to read, because I like the magazine or I like whatever. The big hook on Beanstack is you earn badges. So one of the first ones will be just a Tiger badge. You read 60 minutes, you get a Tiger badge. And that reading can happen with you at home, can happen with a kindergarten teacher in class, can happen with the student on their own. They clock their minutes, they earn a badge. We are going to figure out a way. We have the Millionaires Club, which is 1,000,000 words read from, I think, 3rd through 4th grade. And how do we do that with Beanstack? I added up minutes the other day, and it takes many more days than we have. So we're working on like 1,000,000 seconds of reading, and then it works out to be something like 18 days of reading. I don't remember what it was. No, it was 18,000 minutes. But we thought, well, let's start in 1st grade and make that a big gold ribbon to try to shoot for. And then we can have 1st grade. There's a principal's choice. We could have librarian's choice. We could have Christmas badges. Just how much can we think of to give kids a target to want to shoot at? Kind of like Cub Scout badges and Girl Scout badges. So that's coming on board. I don't know, I think that, 2nd grade music programs coming up, parent teacher conferences are coming. So we have a PD day coming where we're going to do HIPS. It's level section 5 of our high impact instructional practices. So that's coming up. We're all doing that together. And that's us in a short month. So any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm looking at y'all, where's my
We're weird looking.
Just the ones on the end.
So we've done some celebrations. The month of January, we celebrated our middle schoolers being the state champion in the IXL Fall Vocab Bowl. So we did assembly. We gave some plaques to the top 3 performers at each grade level. Booster Club provided us with some cupcakes and drinks, and then we played some games with our school families and had a dance party. The kids all loved it. They had a lot of fun. They really enjoyed it. The spring started this week for the vocab competition, and they have some goals. Mr. Allen's either going to shave his mustache or dye it. We're not 100% sure. The top grade gets to pick. But right now we are 1st in Kansas, and we have mastered 1,442 words, and we are 23rd in the nation for middle schoolers. So pretty cool. The kids are all excited about it, and they enjoy getting on there. And there's lots of kids who I have who work outside of school too to master those words. Because it's words mastered, not how many questions they answer. So they're really working hard. We celebrate Kansas Day. Miss Andrews and Savannah and I made 300 dirt cups for everybody. Took a long time. The kids all enjoyed it. They said it was the best day ever. I'm like, guys, it's just pudding and Oreos, but I'm glad it was the best day.
Say, I'll take it.
Our students are working on their individual plans of study for the parent teacher conferences, for their student-led conferences. Each grade level has 6th, 7th, and 8th grade have a presentation that they prepare. 5th grade has kind of like a packet that they'll go over, but they do work in Zello that they share in their presentation. They talk about careers that they might be interested in, things like that, as well as just different goals and how they've done throughout the school year. So we have that they're fine-tuning and wrapping up. They do this with their advisory teachers. So on Fridays is the day dedicated to it, but throughout the week, the advisory teachers pull them one-on-one to check in with them to see their progress and, kind of have them workshop going through what this looks like. So they're not just reading it, but they're working on those public speaking skills. The county spelling bee is February 11th. We had Tucker McDonald, who will represent our 5th and 6th grade bee winner, and then Jocelyn Patton, she's representing our 7th and 8th grade winner. So those 2 will go on to compete at Valley Falls. Miss Andrews is working on getting prepared for 8th grade job shadowing. So she'll be working with the 8th graders to kind of see which kind of careers they'd like to go shadow. We're looking at a day in April, and so they'll go for the morning, they come back and I get pizza for them all, and we debrief and write thank you notes to the business or whoever they went to go shadow. So this is her big class because there was 80 of them that she has to try to match. So it's gonna take her a bit. I'm starting to work on our state assessment schedules because it's hairy with track meets and Easter break, all the things. So makes it real wild for me to schedule every grade level to test multiple times. But work on that. I will also send out my Amazon wish list because it's important. I make sure the kids are always fed before the tests, make sure they're fueled to do well. So I ask for donations for that. Recognition, we're still short staffed at the middle school lunchroom, but Lily and Amber are doing a great job just making sure everything, all the kids are getting fed and we're, getting them through the lunch line and everything's taken care of. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening. As you can see in our notes, enrollment has stayed about the same. One class goes up, another one goes down. We kind of bounce back and forth. We did have a couple more students add to the GBA virtual program. Several of those are doing Washburn Tech and they really want to get out there and work. And so they can schedule their work and when they do their schoolwork with more flexibility. And so we have a large group from our junior class that have really delved into that and are finding success there. Good news from our FBLA. They had 9 students who went to FBLA regionals and they qualified in 7 events for state. State will be the end of March, beginning of April. It runs throughout that week, depending on which area they qualified in as to what day their competition will be. I know Mr. Colson has talked about doing some trial runs, and so you may get an invitation to come watch some of their presentations as they practice and make it another step better so they can compete in state even stronger. Staff-wise, we've been busy reviewing all our courses, our course descriptions, adding classes, what classes do we need to take off, what classes do we need to change, and you'll get a ton more information about that as we go through the course book tonight. And we'll share lots of information there of whys and whats and our philosophy in which way we're heading. Upcoming, we'll start doing our pre-enrollment for the 26-27 school year, which is why you're going to see the course book and start students making some selections there. Also, a big day for us is the February 16th, where 9th through 11th graders will present their individual plan of study. Last year, we started that as an electronic portfolio, and we've really learned about it and been able to provide more direction for students. So I'm excited to see the next level of their portfolios this year that they'll be able to tweak and all the information that they have in there. Choosing their courses for the next 5 years is part of that plan, but also, what employability skills are they strong at? What do they need to strengthen still? What are they thinking after high school? Are they thinking college? Are they thinking military? Are they thinking workforce? What skills do they currently have? What skills do they still need? They practice creating a resume. Have they done community service? Have they worked before? So many different aspects. They also have some flexibility to put in, like if they have a hobby or an interest or a service that they do. And we're learning. We think we'll be able to also track their post-secondary assets on there, so they'll be able to share that. So when we get through all this, I'm hoping that we can pick out a couple that really did a nice job with them and maybe have them come present for those of you that don't have a high school student, that you can at least kind of see what an electronic portfolio looks like.
Can you start that they start doing that in the 8th grade?
They start some exploration in Zello with their careers and stuff in 8th grade. Maybe even 7th grade. I know you guys have been working on and improving that process. So they start thinking about that. You can actually start it even lower. There's some programs there where they break it down to here's just introducing elementary students to what is a career, what's out there. They know the firefighters and they know the veterinarians, and everybody that loves animals wants to be a vet, but as they come up through, then you start to dig into what does that really mean? What skills do you really need? You know, if you want to be a vet, maybe you need to know about math and sciences. Oh, I don't like science. Maybe that's not the path you want to go. And so working through that. Our seniors then will do their mock interviews. And so we're currently getting all the businesses to set up those, and they'll come in and interview for a job area that they think they are currently interested in. And if they know a specific job and we can get that match, we try to get that. So they'll have to create a letter of interest, have references, have their resume. They've been practicing questions, interview questions, and then they'll come in and do a real interview with someone that's not a teacher, so that it makes it a little more real for them. And then they'll provide some feedback, and they get to do some self-reflection, and then we'll write thank yous to their whoever they interviewed with. So that gets us into, do you know how to address an envelope? And it's amazing, some of them don't, because they just
Yeah,
email.
why would they? Why would they?
I remember that they did it last year. They've done it a bunch of years and it's just a wonderful experience and good for them too.
You make it a call. Employee recognition, wanted to recognize Mark Farr. He was accepted into the Field of Streams, which is a professional learning cohort. I think they only accepted like 68 out across Kansas, and it's free professional development for where they want to build ag and STEM things into natural life science classes. And so he will be going and gaining some experience there and bringing back some things he can use in his science classrooms, which we've really been talking about. How do we get more STEM activities and help kids get that hands-on? So I'm excited to see what he can bring back from there. Questions?
With the Keystone report coming up, and I'm sure that building's coming along well. I know Brenda had down that she has one JDL student. How many do you have?
Currently, I don't have any in the high school.
Wes, how many do you have? JDL students?
I don't have any.
So we have
One is great.
one up there. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, everybody. So right now we got a lot of seasons going on and getting close to finishing up for some of them. Our Jeff West Middle School boys basketball, right now their 8th grade record. They played a game on Monday night, so that's updated. It's now 2-8. 7th grade got a win against St. Mary's, so they got moved up to 5-5. They're looking to gain some strides, playing Rossville on Thursday before heading to league tournament this weekend. I realized I forgot to add the high school basketball record on there. So the boys just beat Holton about an hour ago. So the boys are 10-6. Girls are also 10-6. So very strong seasons as we prepare to move into sub-state here in a few weeks. For our high school wrestling, we hosted our mixer and our senior night and our senior parent night and our 8th grade parent night on Tuesday, January 27th. The high school team competed very strongly. They won 21 out of 30 matches. So only losing 9 of those. And 2 of those came from 2 students wrestling each other, so something happened to us there. Our middle school girls wrestling is also having a great season. We've got 2 first, 1 second, and 1 third place at Washburn Rural. They went 13-7 at Wamego, with 12 of those wins coming from being pins. They competed at Seaman on the 31st as well, and did pretty well there as well. So middle school and the wrestling programs at the high school are doing very well. We had debate go to state competition down in Coffeyville on January 16th and 17th. Coach Williams felt good about their showcase. They placed 16th and 17th, being one of the smaller schools there for debate. So they felt good about what they presented, competing against bigger schools. And then High School Scholars Bowl also had a Big East All-League team selection at their league meet. So they're very well represented in school. Upcoming highlights for sports. Postseason's here. So middle school boys basketball. 7th grade will compete their league tournament on Saturday again at Rossville. Opponent is TBD, and Royal Valley will host the 8th grade. So it'll be on Saturday and Monday. February 9th, our middle school girls will have their league wrestling meet. February 13th, high school girls will have wrestling regionals at Tonganoxie. February 21st, high school boys have wrestling regionals at Holton. And then February 26th and 27th, high school girls and boys basketball sub-state will start. The boys on the 26th and girls on the 27th. On February 13th, we host Holton again. We have a Shrine Bowl award presentation right before the boys halftime, or right before the boys game starts. So after the girls game, so it'll be exciting to see. Staff meetings, we still are looking for a middle school assistant volleyball coach. As of right now, that's the only staff we're looking at. And employee recognition, I just want to recognize Mr. Melvin Lockhart. It's a kind of busy time of year for both of us, changing dates and times and locations as postseason kind of unfolds. So he's been great to work with and very understanding of all our dates and time movements.
Very good.
I want to note something. He didn't have the last two home basketball, so Friday and Saturday did not have an easy go of it. So everyone recognized Cole because he had some extra things pop up that he handled very well. So
Thank you.
Oh, appreciate you.
Thank you. Keystone, is this your last one or is it John's?
No.
Didn't think about it until
Somebody take a photo.
Pat mentioned it, but I'll wing it. They are about a month behind on their building. And I think they're aiming for June 1st as the turnover date. I believe I remember they said they hired a special education teacher in either the middle school or high school. That sound right? Okay, maybe not. They hired one for somewhere. They're piloting, they're piloting an AI program that is school friendly. They want to partner. They're not us, or maybe us. I don't know. They want to partner with districts to try this out. And what it is people already use AI for efficiency, whatever. But this one, basically, my understanding is you basically tell it what sources to draw from. So if students were to use it, it's not going out kind of like a net nanny type thing. But they're piloting two of them. They're trying them out, and they're going to look to partner with one or more of the districts to try it out. If we all go in, we like it, then we can get a cost savings through the co-op. So if we do go that route, so buildings coming along. They're looking to do something with the church on a very limited budget that's on that property. Their thought right now is to make it into like a training area for when they hire new people, and they would have a place separate where they could train. That's about it. I mean,
Are they gonna renovate it at all? I don't remember.
that it's not on the plan, but they have allocated some of their own money for it, depending on what they can do with that budget.
I
So
think depending on how much of their building money that gets spent, if there's anything left over, depending on how much.
yeah, I think they're taking like 200,000 out of their own
Just like
fund.
HVAC, I think.
Yeah, there were a couple things, and I think they have to make it ADA compliant and things like that. But
And to also remember, I think that the project came in under budget. And they gave.
I was gonna say, so far, Matt,
So
so far.
So they've been having conversations with us saying, hey, in the event of, we're trying to look at what would it take to make it ADA? The basement ceiling height isn't high, they're just trying to, I mean, you've got a facility there. Is there something they could make value of it instead of just dozing it over or making it an eyesore storage unit?
Very good. Nothing else?
no,
Bond timeline with Matt.
Been sitting here looking, as soon as we turned this on, it said updating, it will take 20 minutes, and I was like, just keep talking. So, we don't, with moving our meetings to the first Wednesday, the next time we meet, the elections will have happened the night before. So we thought it would be good. There will be decisions in the event that it does pass to be made that very next evening. So we thought it'd be good just to kind of remind on some things, but so you get an idea of what happens that next day and what are the timelines, because the board will have to make some decisions the day after in the event it does pass.
You got the first one?
You know the plan.
Yes, the sign in is guest.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't my wife's cell phone password.
Yeah.
Right on.
For the shot. Must have been for an email.
Yeah.
Have all the dance ones on the
Shadow puppet.
You're the president of the puppet club, so.
Oh, yes, I'm right.
Waiting for the puppet.
Yeah. I was gonna do a bell choir.
That'll be all right.
I said so. I can get all that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, so.
I'm right.
I was watching it too. And yeah, still.
Maybe it's because of for another day.
Of the rendering.
You can't turn it off.
It was.
We went to my farm today.
It's
Yeah, Avery's up for it, so. It has, it's nice. Tonight, it came dark. Yeah, just. Or superintendent convention. But Avery was personally take down.
we need to have it.
Should just, as long as we have the screen to share it or whatever. his
Yeah.
settings are right.
Yeah, for a little bit. And it's like, yeah, love it.
He called her.
Oh.
Such stuff.
Direct.
I think it was like 70. Not the 70.
Is he coming back tomorrow? I highly suggest the Cracker Jacks.
There we go.
It's taking me back.
We're working. Thanks for having me back. To give you guys an update. Brad did say that I have like 65 minutes. Nope. The time that I just spent getting ready does not factor into that.
We're down to
3 minutes or 30? Yeah, short. Yeah, right. All right, so just a quick update on the bond projects. And just flash through some of the images you guys seen before. Each school would kind of have the same image, overall like aerial plan. Showing some of the improvements, have it color coded that should be the same across each building, so it's pretty clear where we're working. The preschool, we got the front entries, secure entry pieces, some windows on the front. We got some ADA upgrades in the building, HVAC,
some of those kind of upgrades. Every school, we have some sort of HVAC project or to use, and then also low voltage that's across the board at each building.
Can I jump in there? Just to remind everybody at this point, they don't make a lot. So all of this is just conceptual, other than the scope of work. So all the visuals are just kind of, here's a conceptual
Right.
view of what something could be.
Yeah, again, this is just very high level. This is not the final product. We're not done with the design. There's plenty more input that we'll have, plenty more changes and different conversations that I'll kind of get into a little bit later as we talk about schedule. But front entry view, again, showing the canopy, kind of taller canopy right by the doors, and then kind of a pickup and drop off zone. At the elementary school, again, kind of a small secure entry renovation, the canopy. We got the areas in blue. Each end of the building, it would be classroom additions to expand space for classroom inside the building, and that would be 2 classrooms on each end. So it'd be a total of 4 classrooms. Front entry canopy, again, something simple is kind of big drop off zone. Where you guys have the right off of the street, something very simple. And again, talking about the branding on the front. Middle school, this one is a little bit more of an extensive renovation because the office is inside the building. So we're pulling that from this area here and kind of extending that into there's a current classroom that's in that long skinny space. That classroom be relocated to the classroom addition, which would be 4 classrooms. We also have pretty extensive repairs that we're doing to the slab that's in there due to the drainage that's on this kind of piece up here in between the high school and the middle school. So a lot of different moving parts there, but again, just kind of some renovations. Got the canopy off the front, and then also a pick up and drop off canopy south of that. And then another view is the front entry. Again, with all these, kind of had something similar with some kind of covered area, elevated high enough, keep rain off of the kids, give them a bigger area that identifies what the front door is. Again, this one has that problem where there's 2 doors to get into the building. So this clearly identifies one side as being the front door and the other was just a secondary entry. Jump to the high school. Same situation with the front entry canopy, secure entrance, kind of have that done here. We have sort of a man trap, so we'd just be upgrading that a little bit with some of the pieces and parts, and so make it to where people come in, they would be directed into the office. We've also got some HVAC upgrades. The probably bigger project here would be the centralized kitchen. So at each one of the schools, we talked about that, if they would be converting those kitchen spaces into the warming kitchen, and then the centralized kitchen would be at the high school. We'd add to the back of the building to make the walk-ins a little bit larger so that we can accommodate doing a centralized kitchen there and disperse to the different schools. And then some kind of a locker space that we walk through to get into the library here. We've also got some different ideas we've been kicking around for how to revitalize that space and make use of space that may not be very functional with kind of how students are normally grouped. Again, front entry, looking at the canopy. And then this is that locker space. The bottom left is that current locker space, and this is kind of just again conceptual view of what happens if we take that out. What can we do with that space and turn it into more of a useful piece of real estate for the district. One other project at the high school would be a facelift for the ag building. There's also some other upgrades that will be happening there with the electrical, some ventilation, and just kind of overall facelift to the building itself. And then the other piece that's tied to the high school would be the track, and we're upgrading that to the 8-lane track and doing something with the bleachers depending on how the track actually integrates with the bleachers themselves. So just a quick overview of things that we've already talked about. After the bond passes, that's the next question that comes up, is what do we do? The first item that we would suggest would be hiring a construction manager. And we kind of walked through that a little bit early on, so we'll talk about a few points there. That's normally a 45 to 60-day process, and it's pretty clear how the state dictates how that should be done. We've also be concurrently starting design whenever a construction manager selection process starts. And then we'd have design that would go through, say, October, again, just kind of rough timelines. March to October, and then November would have a bidding period. Typically that's 3 to 5 weeks. And then we'd be awarding that contract sometime in December. So big picture, not a lot's probably going to happen over the summer of 26. But we have construction in 10 to 20 months, but just gives us a timeline of when construction might happen. It depends on which projects we take on. Nothing that we've talked about is going to take 20 months to build. So more or less, that just tells you we have that time frame of the 20 months, but then also your summer of 27 and summer of 28 would also be targets of renovations that would have to happen so the school could still operate. So that's what kind of stretches you out into more of that kind of timeline. For part of the construction manager selection committee is something that we recommend that you guys form some kind of group that would help in the selection process. We would obviously be a part of that, but we also recommend down the bottom 2 to 3 board members, the superintendent, building administration, whether that would be one representative of all building admin, or maybe it's a couple from each building, and then also somebody from facilities. So what we're looking for is a well-rounded group that represents multiple parties, and they would be part of the selection process for the CM. That same group then would just kind of filter into the design committee. So they would start with the selection of the CM, and then they would be part of the team that would help develop the designs and have the input for the actual process. Some of the advantages for we call it CMAR, Construction Manager at Risk, is what that stands for. Really bringing them on early will help with kind of setting the overall budget early on. So we'll typically do design. We run through, we'll have an estimate that goes along with that. These guys dive a little bit deeper so that each phase of the design process, they provide an estimate. We kind of have a running total. So whenever we started, say a schematic design level, we've just got bubble diagrams, and we have just a written report on what we're doing for design. We move into a design development phase where we just add another layer of design each time we go through the process. The CM does an estimate based on each one of those. So as we get a little bit more refined in what we're doing, they also provide an estimate that reflects. So just kind of keeps the process a little more fluid. They can also be very helpful with separating out the different pieces and parts of the bid packages. So we have a variety of things that we're looking at doing here, from the canopies, HVAC, maybe just finish upgrades. We've got parking lots and just kind of different things that are kind of happening. Typical process could be to hire a contractor just to do all of that work. Since we have a lot of different players involved, the CM can kind of help balance out a little bit better, maybe find a little more economy. I would break that up so that we can have a little better result with it. And then there's also one point of contact versus we have an HVAC project, we've got the kitchen addition. We start pulling we have 3, 4, 5 different contractors that are working on it. This process allows you guys one point of contact that manages.
So you, I think it was the previous slide, it said design would start in March, and then construction manager is March through June. If this were to pass, would you just do like basic design work until a CMR is hired, or what's that look like?
Yeah, so that would be something that we'll kind of work out, but we say that design would start then. That doesn't mean necessarily that we're starting to put block diagrams down and we're drawing the canopies. That would also entail just meeting with staff. So whenever we're talking about doing the kitchen addition, well, we need to talk to the kitchen staff to figure out what their needs are. We need to meet at each building and review what's at each building. So that's not something that CM necessarily has to be a part of early on. We would have those conversations in the background while the CM process is happening, so that we don't want to lose time.
Okay.
By doing that. If we need to just bring them on board completely, we're perfectly fine with that. That's just a way we can kind of start in the design, but not necessarily putting something down on paper. It'd be kind of just more conversationally.
Well, the architects will be because of the scope of our work, they're gonna be really busy. Cause starting in March, they will be scheduling meetings with the high school staff. And then the middle school staff, and then the elementary school staff, and then the preschool staff, and then maybe some, Mr. Bartle and some people from, some of the community involved with the BoE, so they're gonna have a lot of meetings to schedule March and April, while we're in the process of selecting a construction management firm. They're already meeting with staff, say, okay, let's get into the details. That's gonna take a lot of time because we have so many facilities.
We also don't have a lot of good drawings on all the buildings, so that'll be part of it too, is getting ourselves and also engineers into the buildings to see what is actually in place. One example would be like the HVAC units. We're taking units that are inside the building in each classroom, and we want to put one large unit on the roof. That's pretty heavy. So we need to look at the structure and see where our possible options are. So what our structural engineer will go in and look, maybe he finds 2 or 3 different places where we can place that unit and some different ideas of how to do it. Then we would talk to the CM and say, okay, here's our 3 options. Can you price this? And then we would come to a conclusion of what would be the best one. So some of the early investigation would happen during that kind of initial kind of design phase. On the state process that I mentioned earlier, again, it's pretty clear on how they want that process to operate. You have to have a notice of intent on the school board meeting agenda and allow that for comments. So before you even start the process, you would have to do that in the board meeting. And then after that process happens, let's see, you can do that after 15 days, then you issue your RFQ. So that would be something that you send out to prospective CMs, say, hey, we're school district, we're looking for a CM to partner with, and then they have some time, say 2 to 4 weeks to look at that and then submit their qualifications. After we get their qualifications, we review that, and then we select 3 to 5 firms to do an interview process. Phase 2, we have called out as additional information, so that'd be where they actually submit their fee, and they would also do the facility tour. So whenever we go through and do our own tours to see what kind of facilities we're dealing with and different design ideas, they want to do that same process so they can see what it is we're talking about for the design. They submit a fee that gets turned into the state, and then the phase 3 would be the actual interview process. So again, that CM committee would be part of that interview process. It wouldn't necessarily have to be the full board being involved. So tentatively, that's a 35 or 45 to 60-day process. So jumping into the design. Again, just high level. We kind of mentioned that a little bit. We'd have some more call them programming meetings, so that would be where we'd sit down with kitchen staff or the high school or whichever parties that we're talking about secure entry. We need to know kind of how some of that process works and who we'd be dealing with. So those kind of meetings would happen during the early design phase, schematic design and design development, and then we'd get into more construction level design where we'd actually put everything on paper, and that's what the CMs will actually start bidding to different contractors. And we'd also develop the different phasing or bid packages based on CM input of how we need to break this up. If we wanted to do all of the canopies as one bid package, and that would go to one contractor, the HVAC goes to a separate one, and how we want to do that, or if we do it by building. And throughout the whole process, we provide board updates. And then once all that's done, then we'd actually move into construction. So that's when shovels hit the dirt and we actually start moving, seeing what we've talked about for months and months. We actually start seeing the construction happen, and that's the board updates as well for whatever interval you guys would want, and depending on what's happening on site with the different projects. So this is a tentative schedule of, again, kind of what that CM process could look like and how that integrates to the design. The election is the 3rd. Your next board meeting would be the 4th. So that's what we'd suggest to do your notice of intent. So as soon as the bond passes, go ahead and do the notice of intent the next board meeting. That sets you, you got the 9th here for submitting to the newspaper, so it has to be advertised in the newspaper. And then it would actually get published in the newspaper that following Thursday. And then that hits your window for when you can release the RFQ, so that's be 15 days after it's posted in a newspaper. RFQ gets released, we got a few weeks, and then we can have the RFQs due. Everything here from down can be in flux, but those are pretty tied to specific dates of when you have to be released. But say middle of April, we get the RFQs due, week turnaround time to review, then we notify all the parties that we want to be interviewed, invite them to do the interview, and then we have a tentative week in the middle of May that says, hey, we want to interview, and select a day and have them come by for that interview process. And probably want to have, at least half a day or so time set aside for, an hour-long interview, 45 minutes per interview. And then if we miss this board meeting with the interviews, then that would kick you to the next board meeting for approval of the CM, unless there's a special board.
Is there any, if it does pass, these are big decisions. Does it have to be, I don't wanna say if it feels rushed, on some of this, does we have to stick to these dates, or if we're just not,
No, you don't have to. So this is to get to the RFQ process as quick as possible. If you want to do it at the next board, you have to announce it at a board meeting before you can release the RFQ.
Yeah.
So it would either be this one, or if there's another board meeting in March. Then
yeah, that is not a big one, it's just, coming down the line, some of that stuff I don't wanna rush.
Right, and that's fine. Yeah, it can be catered however you want. I think I'd sent to Brad all this kind of lined out of the 15 days for RFQ, of hitting board meeting, that kind of stuff lined out, so it can be tailored to whatever you guys feel comfortable with. And the same with the design, we've got the kind of block shown for design, showing schematic, which would be kind of that early kind of interview stage of seeing what you have at the existing buildings. We have to field measure, so we've got some blocks shown on the floor plan that we took from scans of what Brad gave us, so we want to make sure that the room that we have is actually built the same way that it was on the plans. So that'd be part of that schematic design phase, then design development. And then we have construction documents before we get anything that's ready to be bid, be probably by the end of the year. And that's usually a good time window for bidding is kind of November, December, January is when you want to hit the bidding market. It's going to be your most competitive price for when contractors are looking to get loaded up for the next year.
But so on the 4th, since it has to be at a meeting, you can do it at the 4th, or you'd either have to wait till April 1st, or you could have a special meeting sometime in March. You should have to. If you go to April, then everything just moves.
And we were wanting to get, the real target date at the end was to get the bids out, this time of year next year.
Sure.
I get that, but make sure we're not stuck to these dates and stuff.
No.
Have you guys started doing any of the mailings and stuff? I know we talked about this a while back ago, but I haven't heard or seen anything going out to the public yet.
No.
That would have to be from a community group.
Yep.
But I thought that was part of the package. The female said,
That's a good question.
the female said that they send it out in one of our meetings.
No, they will design and make them. But we can't use district money.
Right, but I thought they were in charge of doing all that. They're not.
No, it would still be district.
And you can't pay them.
I totally thought that's
No.
why I was thinking they did it.
They can design something,
Okay,
just like all of the stuff he showed and
but a private member would have to mail them
Right, it,
Okay,
So-
I was thinking they did all of that for
they,
us.
they design them. And
Okay,
it's like at basketball games, we can set information out to inform,
okay,
but if you want something, because that doesn't cost.
got
But if
you.
you want to pay to have a mailer,
Okay,
that's gotta be,
that was my.
and they have all the designs that they can share with
I got
people to do it.
Okay,
It
I was
does.
just thought that they did all that for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes tough out.
Permanent.
Yeah, tough
Yeah.
out. Okay, that makes sense, thank you. Appreciate it.
So there's plenty of flexibility in this. Again, you could, even if you jump the next day to do the announcement saying you're gonna go out for an RFQ, you don't necessarily have to release it then.
Yeah.
It could be like.
Well, that one's not that, it's not a big, it's just coming on down there, you know?
Any other questions on that?
I think this was talked about at last meeting, but not, true or false, not all projects have to go through the CM.
True.
Okay,
Like
okay,
painting.
yeah, perfect example.
Smaller project.
Yeah, smaller stuff.
Yep.
We don't have to, oh, let's get a bid from every company. I know restriction of price and whatnot, but, yeah, I think we can circumvent the CM on certain projects, yeah. And that's, in March, we'll wanna have a conversation about pulling together. And it could be that same group that you put together to select
Mhm.
and interview the CMAR. You can also, throughout this spring, put together a similar group, if not the same group, to start looking at, okay, because we want as much of this to be bid locally. So we will make sure whoever we select as a CMAR has a list of our preferred, because there's a lot of concrete, there's a lot of, there's a lot of business that, so we'll want to make sure that they have the list of those people. Now, an HVAC company locally may not bid something, but at least they get the bid. But there's a lot of stuff, because of our scope of work, we may not have to even let them, because we could put the bid out. Yeah. For certain projects, and we'll want to have a group that goes through and decides what they work on and what we could do, Parking lots, we might be able to do that ourselves.
Aaron Allen was slowing down you for doing the track.
Put Brad down.
Super people, everybody, yeah.
Oh, great, we used all of our questions.
We're out.
All makes sense?
So I guess the main thing to remember is so much of this is just the inception.
Yeah.
It's just conceptual. It's just a place to start. Gets us something for you guys to see that you can react to, and then we can tweak it from there. So again, that's the whole design process. There'll be a lot more meetings that we'll have. We can refine everything, go through everything in more detail, but just a place to start.
Thank you.
Get it.
Yeah, thank you.
Next item, 5.2 KASB board policies that we presented with these last month. We kind of skimmed over them. I don't know how in depth we need to get.
Well, if anybody had any questions on any of them, because sometimes it might have been the first time you ever looked at it. But those are existing policies we already have. It's just language updates because of either change in legislation, change in, every January and July, KASB will send us any recommended changes that are required due to some legislation, some court case, some And those ones there, I really didn't see anything that I'd be like,
This is upsetting the apple cart.
yeah.
Nothing.
So it's kind of.
And some of them, in many of these, we don't deal with a lot. But if you don't have the policy in place in the event you did, then.
I did have one terminology question. I'm glad you brought that up. In a couple instances, I noticed instead of saying like parents or guardians, it now says parents or person acting as parents. Is there some like
You can.
legal requirement that
Well,
that's a parent? Because I don't want. Or is this like a new terminology set up?
I would
I
say
don't
it's new terminology just because there are so many in today's day. It could be, they are placed in a home with a court order.
Mhm.
Or they could be, so there's so
Wouldn't that be
many.
a temporary guardian though? I guess I just, my concern, not to upset that part, but my concern is that like somebody, we have a student and their aunt comes in and says no, or Aaron comes in for my child and says no, that she ain't making decisions, I haven't given her that right to
Yeah,
make,
we-
or a legal entity.
We still have to have some, it doesn't change our practice
Okay,
that we have to have, and Wes and I were having this conversation just a couple weeks ago, that just saying I'm acting as, you still have to provide some form of legal, if there's a separation, if there's a, the parent gives authority, but without any of that, this doesn't change our practice.
okay.
It just changes from shell shock to post-traumatic stress disorder. It just changes the language of the saying.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because that one had me
Rest assured, I don't.
noted.
Lucky.
Nor would I ask you.
If I see her in the park,
Nor
I'm
would I do.
gonna be like, why, God?
Nor would we release it to you.
Understood.
Any other questions on anything before?
We are tabling the AI.
Yes. And the only reason is it's new.
Brand new, yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually have, we're part of a grant that districts, so we have some of our teachers, and they're actually meeting again tomorrow, working on how AI is used, tools, a lot of that. So I took that and sent it to that group of teachers and administrators to say, okay, there's nothing really wrong with it, and it looks good, but I want to make sure that, or at least our teachers have looked at it and said, yeah, this kind of aligns with what our practices are. And if it does, then I'll bring it back to the board. I just didn't want the board adopting it without our teachers saying, and we have teachers that are really into the AI and how they're using it already, so I wanted them to look at it.
So this will be as presented then?
Yes, because the AI one is not in this list today.
Okay.
We shared it with you last time, but
I move we approve the board policy recommendations as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 6-0. Next up, 5.3, jobs for American graduates. Ms. Franks.
I put on the table just an information sheet, so you got something visual also to look at as I talked. But JAG Jobs for American Graduates, Kansas, they sent out an email. They're now servicing Jefferson County and had sent an interest email out So I took it to our BLT and shared a little bit about it, and I'll share a little bit more with you here about it, to see if this is something we would maybe want to pursue for Jeff West High School. And they said, yeah, let's explore and move forward and see what we can do. So I wanted to bring it to the board to share a little bit of information about it and what it can do for Jeff West students and about the program. So overall, it's a nationally recognized program. I'm know like Royal Valley's had it for several years. And some of the other schools in the league, and they've talked about it, and I've never heard anything but positive things that it's done for their students. And so I was excited when they reached out of, hey, Jefferson County is now eligible for this also. But they work with students in our district to help them for steps after high school. They would supply a staff person, and they want to hire someone local. And they asked for a classroom in our building, and they are kind of in our schedule, so that the students will have certain times that they would be there. The time that that staff member is not in a classroom with us, during their work hours, they would be out making connections with employers in the surrounding community. Because what they want to do is provide connections between a student here and next steps. So they may work with kids who have a barrier to graduation, or they may think are not going to graduate, or even post-secondary success. It's like, okay, they're going to get their diploma, but there's something that may keep them from being successful. They just haven't had enough employability training to be successful post-secondary. So that is one of the things they do. They help with additional guidance and career planning. You know, we do our IPS, but there are still some students that are just, I don't even know what I want to do. And so help work through some of those things with them, engaging them, or even just life skills. And so it also gives that group of students that maybe are in that situation some familiarity with other students that are having some of those same concerns, and a lead person to go to, and helps them feel more connected to the school and to being successful. So they will do career exploration, they will do employer engagement, they'll do leadership development, they'll help them with civic awareness, they'll do some mentoring. There'll be another person to help with academic support. Oh, you're struggling, maybe I can help you with XYZ class, or get you resources. They do have year-round services, and then after they've graduated, they do a 12-month follow-up with them. So it's not just while they're here at high school. They kind of say there's 3 phases. There's exploration, exposure, and experience. That's what they work for, as they work with their students. And then with the employers, there's different levels that they can be involved. They do an exploration, which that might be businesses come in as guest speakers, or they go to do a business tour, or they get to participate in just a designated event where these employers are at. They may talk about pathways. So we talk a lot about our CTE pathways. They may help with that and find, hey, this is an employer that would be in a CTE pathway. So kind of bridge that difference. At a level 2 for employers, they do exposure. So they might have students come out and do job shadows. They might do a online training or an in-person training for students for some job skills. They might allow the students to come in for one of their industry events, so they can see what it's about. So the different levels there. And then you move to the experience level, where they would do some conference or some training for them in those jobs. They would do information interviews. They could do an apprenticeship. They could provide volunteer opportunities, just lots of things there. And then the ultimate goal is they would help those students earn a certification, get credentials, have that experience, so that they're ready to be a qualified workforce participant. Some of their demographics over the years. So this year they have 121 programs, and they serve 6,500 students. Their demographics from their success from last year, just kind of who made up their students in 24. 36% of them came from single parent households. 50% of them were, or 57% were students of color. 44% were students from the bottom 25% of a class standing. You know, we do rankings all the time when we talk about our 4.0, but what are we doing for those that aren't up there? And then 70% were students that were free and reduced lunch. And that's kind of in 2024 what their demographics across Kansas look like. They also boast about their program, which has kind of caught my attention. They have a 98% graduation rate with the students that they serve. They have a 90% positive outcome. So when they go and visit with them, they get 90% give them a positive feedback. 78% employment, 87% full-time employment. 67% of their students go on to do some type of further education. That might be technical, that might be college. And then they have a 99% connectivity rate. So what that would look like for us is there would be some cost to the district. It's approximately, they sent, you know, an idea for us, so I could share information with you on that, but it'd be around $16,000. And then they have business sponsorships that help them with their other costs. There's everything on here from United Way to Walmart to Washburn Tech, the US Bank. So they have different levels of sponsors that also help so they can do all the pieces for their program. I can't tell you I have all the answers on it, but I have a connection that I could reach out to. I know Dr. Nuenswander's also been familiar with the program before, so questions just as an introduction of what we might be looking at. Would like to consider it, would love to have it for next year. That may be too fast, I understand that, but something that if it's not for next year, I definitely will probably bring back for, hey, when can we consider this and get this in place to help some of our students.
Was that for a school year then? Is it like a whole school year
Oh,
process?
yes.
So you have to redo it every year?
I believe so. That's a great question though, but I would assume that.
You have to hire someone, or do they already have a person?
They want us to provide some suggestions, and my understanding is we would set in on the interviews or help with the interviews so that they want it to be a good fit. They don't want to bring someone
But
that
it would
we
be
know
their employee
nothing
versus
about.
Our employee,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, and then we contribute to that.
gotcha, yeah. Kind of like.
MOU.
They will try to
Yes.
hire someone local,
Yeah,
but they want us.
But they make sure they're hitting all the requirements.
Potentials, yeah. Do they have the needed skills to
Is it-
do the job?
Like 20 hours
That sounds right.
a week that they're in the high school working with the kids. And, you know, they've been in Kansas for 10, 12 years. And examples of some of the people that they found is like, you have that youth minister that has some availability Monday through Friday and has a really good or that, you know, we get Rule 10 coaches. They're looking for that type of person that would want to.
The previous principal at Holton was the JAG coordinator for Royal Valley for a while. So that may be someone that's retired and not looking for that full-time income.
Do we know someone local?
Do we know of any other schools aside from Royal Valley that we can kind of compare our demographic to?
I believe Nemaha Central, Marysville, they have a girl on here that's a quote about it, so Marysville would probably be pretty similar to us demographic wise and size wise.
There's a list on the website too. Yeah.
Look at you.
I'm serious. Don't mind you.
you want us to do our own research?
You mentioned they require a classroom.
Yes.
Do you have the room up here for that? Or
We would do something different with the way we have our conference room right now. That is our classroom. It's nice to have that as a conference room, but we've done several things to have a conference room, so we've figured that piece out. At one time we shared the esports room as a conference room, which works okay. We can do the conferences during the day and esports and after school, so there's strategic ways to make it happen.
Yeah. In your opinion, I'm always blown away whenever I attend graduations and each student stands up and says, I'm going to this college, or I'm going to the military, whatever. In your opinion, or maybe you do have hard data on that, how many students do you think this would touch? In terms of a student, maybe not necessarily at graduation, doesn't know what their path is.
We work really hard with the IPS to try to make them choose, but there's still a lot that say, I don't know. So I would guess to really get away from that, well, I'm gonna put this down because I want it to look like I have some decision made. But to have them have a stronger hold on that and the skills, I would 15%.
Okay.
So I was at a high school 5 years ago. They have a JAG program. And I would say they are demographically a lot like us, student wise and everything. And for 3-4 years, I would go attend their signing day. And they would have 100% of their seniors lined up in the gym. And every one of them had someone, whether it was Pitt State, Walmart, some diesel, whatever, standing behind them, and it was a signing day.
Wow.
And they actually signed their commitment letter to go on to that next. Even the special needs student that was signing on to the local Walmart to be able to, you know, and it's that 15% of the kids that will say yes because they had to put something down. This is that group of kids.
That's cool.
It seems cruel though, because you're leaving something you've been doing 12 years and signing up for something you're gonna do the next 40. They don't know that, but they do.
Bring it down, John.
Or it was the kid that had their dad standing behind them that they were taking over the family farm.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
that's
were making
awesome.
a commitment,
I love that.
and
That's something I think generally as a society. we lack.
Yeah, we need that. That's
Well, this
that's
is
really cool.
a discussion item.
Yeah.
Is there a deadline or,
Yeah, how
for
soon do you have
next
to
year,
sign
or-
up for it so they can prepare?
They of course wanna know yesterday,
Oh, I'm sure.
but we felt you guys needed time to learn about it,
Yeah.
process it, answer questions.
and I think it's great. The only, we probably need to know, more about and this is, I hate even saying this, the financial breakdown of it.
Yeah.
And they
Just
have
so
done
we're
an
not like caught
MOU.
off guard that we're like, oh yeah, you're on the hook for 30%.
Yeah, they have actually sent that paperwork. I didn't bring that this evening because I didn't feel we were probably at that stage, but I can share that.
Well,
Or
get
share
yeah,
it
that
with
would
Brad
be-
and
it
share
to
with
us
us.
next month and we'll,
Yeah.
and then Brad can prepare it. And tell us what fund it comes out of,
They said
Yeah,
you
just so
could use
we can
at-risk funding, but I don't know where our at-risk funding is budgeted and how much of it is already spoken for, that how much we have, that type of thing.
We can't come out of facilities, so we'll go there.
I think they have board salaries.
I will also,
Well, I knew you were getting food.
at the March board meeting, I will have, like we did last year in March, I will have a preliminary,
Right.
because we just are finishing up our audit. I will have a preliminary, here's new revenue next year. Because next year's budget will be based on at least our enrollment this year. Because next year we get a count this year, or if it's more students. So I'll at least have a baseline that I will present at the March meeting.
If we did it next month, would that give enough time to get it ready for next year?
I believe so. I will reach out and ask questions.
I mean, if we have to have a
The
special
timeline.
meeting, if it's that, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody lives far away from here, do
No,
they? Yeah.
and we will have a meeting in between, we'll have our community engagement that, can we have a quick meeting before that if we had to?
You could,
If we had to. if we
let's,
had to.
yeah, let's check with Bev.
Yeah.
The person running this was former superintendent at Concordia. She retired and she's been part of this for the last 10, 12 years. I know they're trying, just like everybody, thinking about their budget moving forward. I think we would have time at the March board meeting, but we'll,
I'll verify.
yeah. We'll
Thank
have time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you, brought it up.
It is a great program.
Next thing we got on the agenda is 5-4. New date for the community meeting. The last one got too cold or snowed or.
So really, I think the viable options, and I put in my notes, the 22nd or 29th, but then I realized Cole's missing Cole is only 6 years old. Because this year we don't have a 29th.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
Let's schedule it for then.
It would be the first.
Mhm.
So we have the Wednesday night community meeting on the 25th, so it would either be the Sunday before or the Sunday after. And the only reason is I thought the message for this Sunday would be too fast for the community.
Yeah.
I'm open either. So pick one. You're open.
Yep.
John,
Whatever, yeah.
girl, the 22nd or the 1st?
My only concern with the first is that's like backing right up against
Right.
voting day. It's like not enough time for folks to
But maybe-
digest it.
And maybe after the Wednesday meeting, there'll be enough scuzzles that don't wanna show up.
Yeah.
Should we just
Sunday.
shoot for the
I
second?
guess I could, yeah,
22nd?
devil's advocate either way.
Well, no, maybe it'll encourage them to come when it's fresh.
Good with either.
So the
I'm good with either.
22nd.
I say we just go with the 22nd, that gets people.
Yeah.
And if we have to smack one more in, because people are saying, I didn't get it, I
Right.
wasn't gonna able,
Right.
okay, then we'll squeeze another one in.
Uh-huh.
you know,
It just gives people an extra few days to, if
So
they
they
have any
can't
questions.
say we didn't
Yeah.
get that. Or,
What
yes.
are we doing? Was it 3
It
or?
was like 3.
It was 3:30,
Oh,
wasn't it?
oh,
I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say-
what I was gonna say. I thought
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like
because we,
3:30.
couldn't
3:30
link.
Yeah,
at
we
the
hit
middle
the middle.
school. And then
3:30 at the
Wednesday,
middle school.
and then that Wednesday evening will be 6 o'clock just here in the library.
and not that I'm good at remembering, but send us reminders, everybody.
There.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will start getting that out for the community.
This next one is 5.5 discussing meeting with the city council on the track project.
So the city council meeting is next Tuesday, the 10th. The Meriden City meeting. And last month, the board thought it to be wise to send
We feel.
a couple people to the meeting to ask, which I will attend along with, but it's the request to see if they have interest in partnering with the next community grant to partner with us on the track renovation.
This is the same one that the library is utilizing.
And just to make, so everybody knows, in the bond issue, we have to ask for the authority to do it. The funds to do the track. That if we get the city and we get some community partnership, then that just relieves. But what if the city says yes, but we don't get the grant. Well, we can't then not do what we promised in the bond. So we still have to ask for the authority to do the project. But everything that we can do with the community, then that just relieves that much that we have. And 650,000 is a big chunk of that project.
And if it were to, if they were to say yes, government assisted services is who we've been using at the city level to write these grants. I would have like Brett here to explain and lay it out. It's pretty simple, but it's not. So
And if the grant were to come about, we talked about a project that we would not have to have the construction manager involved with. We can then, with the grant, we can then send out all the specs. I mean, because it's not a complicated 8 lanes with bleach, you know, we can then send that out and not have to involve the architects or the construction management. And there's 12% that we don't have to pay for someone to oversee it when we can send it out. Because we would be working through a grant.
And one other thing to clarify, why it's the track is because that's open to the public.
Makes sense.
Gates open all the time.
Yeah.
That's how we did sidewalks before. Libraries are eligible. There's certain things that are eligible outside of, but because this would be something that is open to the public, it should qualify, or it should. But we need 2 or 3 people, minus me that night. I'm not on the school board. I'm an employee.
And I will be there too.
The 10th.
Next Tuesday.
They're riveting good times.
Well, I mean, we'd be first on the agenda,
I would
right?
see what I could do.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah, they say that all the time. They say, it's
Just
like,
don't
you're
get
gonna
me
present
scared.
this first. They're at 7, right?
Yeah.
They start at 7.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Anybody really wanna go bad? You ready?
I'll do it. Got it down. Which one?
I already
BoE
have it
Meeting. My husband already gives it to me. $50 for water for you.
What day did you say that?
Tuesday the 10th, 7 o'clock.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
And I can sure pop in too, if needed.
It won't take you long.
Do they have snacks at these meetings?
They have no snacks.
That's horrible.
Moral support.
I'll have
So
to
we
bring my
got-
own snacks
We
too.
got you two,
Yep,
Kelly
and Brad.
Aaron and
Wait,
Brad.
I
No,
don't have
Bradley.
to speak, right? I don't have to say anything?
No,
I'll speak if we have to.
Yeah.
all I've had.
You
Right now.
You just write down what you want me to say. I'll talk.
And if any of the others are available and you wanna stop by, join us.
Yeah.
But
It's
it
pretty,
sounds like I'm gonna end up doing the talking.
Yep.
Okay.
it's a pretty informal. Next item 5.6 is the 2027 Jefferson High School fourth book.
Yay.
Mrs. Jensen has been busy. Last year was her first year, she made some organizational adjustments like for bold and whatever. This year she took it a step farther and has done some color coding, put it with our career tech areas. So many of the things in here are the same, but she has made it more appealing, easier to follow, given some little signals, like is it this a pathway course? Is this a weighted course? So the list of changes looks long. Really, it's not as overwhelming as what maybe the 2 pages summary is there. There are some courses that have been added and deleted, and to make that a little simpler, I added this sheet, just handed it out tonight, just so you can kind of see what classes, what's a new class, maybe the rationale as to why, like, for example, intermediate college algebra we're getting rid of because Highland is no longer offering that as a college course. They are now, working, them and many of the state schools have looked at what do students in college really need for a math class. And they've come up with, their college algebra, their contemporary math, and then elementary statistics. And so they have gone through and marked for this career path, you need this math. For this career path, you need this math. So not every student, like we had been kind of funneling all our kids that were thinking about college into college algebra. You know, this is something you're gonna need. So now we need to take a look at what math will you need? What area are you thinking about majoring in college? So we would like to add the college contemporary math. So for some of our students that aren't gonna need college algebra, we can provide that first college math through the contemporary math. So some adjustments like that. The essentials of algebra 2, we hope to be a short term. We just have some students that are on the other end of the spectrum, struggle with math. They have done math lab, they've done essentials, but they're just not ready yet for algebra. So we want to have that piece in there to help them be successful versus throwing them into algebra. They aren't successful. And then now what do? Unless we take algebra over again, and then they never get past that. So working in that area with the math. For business and family and consumer sciences, we're with adding a couple classes with things we already had. We can add 2 new pathways, a restaurant and event management pathway and a travel and tourism pathway by adding just a couple classes. Each year CTE revises and revamps, and this year Kansas is matching up with national CTE's work. And so there were several classes that had name changes, or they split one class into 2 and split the competencies. So like with family and consumer science, we used to have nutrition and wellness. Now they have nutrition and dietetics and dimensions of wellness. And so happen to take our nutrition and wellness out, but add those in to meet the pathway requirements. Relationships and personal development, the name is changed to Foundations of Mental and Behavioral Health. So things like that, so that we can match up with the state. Some changes have done. The teaching pathway is a brand new pathway. We have added the majority of the classes that the pathway has there so that we have them as offerings. We already had some because within the facts pathway, some of the classes in the teaching pathway were already taught in the facts program. So we didn't have to add, I think 3, maybe 4 that were already taught in the pathway. We will probably not teach every one of these classes every semester. But for pathway, you need to offer them. And then what we will look at pre-enrollment is what the enrollment is, which classes can we offer, which classes not. We may need to work out some things like teaching as a career is going to be offered on even years, and technology for teachers on odd years, so students can kind of plan. So we'll work with that to get the most benefit for students that are most interested. We had our first advisory council meeting last night, which is required for us to submit for a pathway. We had representatives from preschool, elementary, middle school, and high school there. And so they are excited for that. So we're hoping that this will go through. Media and technology had to replace a course. The 21st century journalism was a technical course, and we really didn't have many technical offerings. So we looked at what else would meet similar to those standards, and that's the media and public relations. Ag education, he wanted to get an intro class at the high school level. Previously, we've offered it at the middle school level, and we haven't taken that out. It's called Ag Explorations down there. And we're working to maybe get something like we have with Mrs. Abbott, where she teaches middle school kids during the advisory time. Maybe we've been in talks. Can we do something like that with the exploration of ag? But also to have that intro to ag if some high school students, I would like to pick that Our intro classes don't help us with funding, so we usually put those in the spring. And keep our enrollments with our funded classes in the fall, just to help with the weightings and the funding piece. And then we've added a class like EMS first responder to our course book. We are not gonna be teaching that. It's like our CNA class. Washburn Tech teaches it, but for us, for students to be able to have it on their transcript to be considered a completer in that pathway, we have to have it on our transcript, so we want it in our course book. It's there, students can know that, but they'll have to take it through Washburn Tech or their CNA program. Like we have one student that's driving up to Atchison to take it through Highlands Tech in the evenings. And so just having those opportunities for students to become a completer in a pathway. And so that's the courses. The rest of it is tweaks of words, changes, those types of things. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Jones, I don't think there's any like policy changes we made. We did do some clarification on the graduation honors. The kids were like, so I have to do this in this. So we tried to just print that out a little clearer. It's this or this and this, and this.
Yeah.
So I know you guys have had a little bit of time with it. I didn't know if you had questions we could answer for you.
When it says teaching internship class,
Mm-hmm.
is that a way we could get kids to help with elementary classrooms or preschool classrooms?
Yes,
or-
so that would be an application level, and there's two different classes there. The educational leadership is also like that.
Mhm.
One is
Okay.
a year long and one is a semester long.
Okay.
And we wanted to do both in case we do have some students, which we have had in the past, that are really ambitious and they want to be done in December and start college or whatever the next. So we wanted them to be able to be able to do a semester of getting out and being in a classroom and doing that teaching piece. This year, we currently, I don't know if you guys are aware, Mrs. Abbott has a student from Seaman in their class like that is here working with her. Yeah, that's been a really neat, and we've been talking to their instructor over there, and she's like, I'll be happy to share, all my resources that I'm using, so.
Cool.
It's exciting.
That was one of the strategies
Yes.
that the board, that you have on your
Yeah,
goals
Mhm.
for
and that's a
staff recruitment
big
and
difference.
retention. So I'm excited about
smaller school, that's
the
a big,
teacher pathway.
Yeah.
that's cool, I love that.
Get them excited about it young.
I think we have 4 seniors this week that are interested in the teaching field, so I was like, what can we do to help?
How many?
4, I think, right now.
This looks so good.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean,
Yeah, when I pull it up.
it's not as intimidating by having the
It is,
additions.
just-
It's not near as intimidating.
Yep.
Does anybody have any question?
No.
Well, I would say this is the fastest we went through it.
Just one major.
I thank whoever did it.
Okay, yep, you wanna
Yeah,
talk about that?
Washburn Tech, recently came out and the state CT funding that we receive for our Washburn Tech kids that pays for their tuition. They will not be funding tuition for business technology, cosmetology, culinary arts, or graphics technology. They haven't decided yet if they're gonna grandfather in the students that were first year students this year, because next year they've already got a year down, so they haven't decided what they're doing with those students. But I try to make that pretty clear in the course book so that students would know that they can still take those classes, but they'll be responsible for the tuition for those 4 programs. I'd say our cosmetology is one of our bigger appealing courses for our kids, and so that's kind of a bummer that they're not offering tuition.
Yeah.
And that's not a Washburn Tech decision, that came from the SB
Oh,
155 and what they.
No tuition at all, not even reduced or anything.
No, not for business tech, cosmetology, culinary, or graphics.
That's okay, Mark. That's a.
Well, the reason behind it
Yeah.
is every couple years, they look at all the high demand, high pay, high skill jobs. And they have a pot of money to go towards tuition reimbursement. So if those fields fall out of those high demand, high pay, because they want their tuition money to go to where I was talking to Mark Barr earlier this week. It's like one of the highest job demands in Kansas is teaching. Which is why we want to get those pathways. But
Is that where that funding's going?
well, but the tuition reimbursement, they always reevaluate it to make sure it's going to those highest demand, higher pay, because they want more kids pursuing that. And when you can get your tuition reimbursement, you incentivize more kids to go into that decision. That's why it's not that they don't value it.
Right.
It just fell out of
Bang
that.
for your buck situation.
Yeah. Getting more kids into the aero space, the healthcare, or the high demand.
IT.
Yeah. So it's not because it's not valued, it just fell out of that.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, it looks great. Thank you for putting all the time in and making changes.
Yeah,
It looks
it does.
amazing. Anybody have any other questions or are we comfortable with the motion? I move we approve the changes to the Jeff West High School course book as presented.
Second.
So.
One thing to note, we are still having some math discussions, so we may come back yet with, hey, we'd like to add another math class, or
Okay.
as we figure out with those changes, what we may need for our students, so. Be like, well, why all of a sudden now we have that? So we're working through some of our.
Trust you.
ones.
I get it, Carl.
All right. The next item up is a request for additional high school softball coach.
We don't have anything on that. Was there?
It was in the Friday note.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the letter wasn't.
So we had three players graduate. Oh, there you go. There we go.
Right, I got some.
Okay, I was gonna say there's no proposal.
There's,
Where is the proposal?
It was in-
Yeah, that's good.
So softball has come to Mrs. Prince and I, and we had some discussions about adding a fourth coach to their program. So I kind of broke it down on two different talking points. One is the game day coverage and supervision part, and the other is kind of how the help involve practice efficiency and more program support for the JV level programs. So just some emphasis or some background knowledge. So softball right now has 3 coaches. They play varsity on a different night than their JV, or the same night, sorry, as their JV at the same time in 2 different facilities. So there's 2 varsity coaches at the field and 1 coach at the JV games. Unlike baseball, which has 3 coaches, but they play on different nights, so that all coaches are able to be at every game. If that's how they want to run their program. So right now, with 3 coaches, they feel like their coverage is stretched pretty thin on those game nights for the fact that the JV's got the 1 coach, and that involves using fielding, pitching, and defensive calls. Well, if a athlete is injured or if they got subbing issues, that takes the coach away from that perspective of the game because they have to deal with the student is injured, and now there's nobody calling pitching calls or fielding calls for that game. And this provides some overall additional support for those JV games, more coverage for subbing rotations and all the different things that game time strategy calls for.
In like this past year where they didn't have that, those things fell off the plate, so this weren't getting pushed as much. So that, the coaches can only do what they can do, and they can't do all those things as one person.
And the games are they're across town.
Yeah.
One's at Lacey Field and one's here.
Well, remember last year, there were how many games canceled because it just didn't work. There was no coach. So.
I don't think it was because of coach, it was because of players, like there wasn't enough players from another team.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I know there were a couple games canceled because they didn't have a coach or something, and then parents were like at us because their kids weren't getting to play. So that's pay for something, there's no coach.
It
Kind of
wasn't,
hard.
but it wasn't a coach thing last
Okay.
year. It was, sometimes, and you'll find it in high school, sometimes they don't have enough players. For example, the other night, we couldn't get a C team game in because they didn't have enough players.
Well,
Landon
it's a
didn't.
server, like we have 8,000 eighth graders.
Yes.
So
Sometimes they can make it work with
You don't
two
have all boys in
quarters,
your-
but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like right now, Coach Parker, like they're using student managers to coach for space.
Yeah.
While she's, or with their JV coach is doing everything else they can at the time. For practice wise, they use their practice time for station-based coaching. So one coach takes pitchers and catchers, the other coach takes outfielders and fielders, different position-based. With only 3 coaches, she's not able to go around to each position group and really work with all the students and kind of identify the needs of different JV players and even varsity players. And even then, some of her student managers are running stations because they just don't have the coverage to do all the stations for that day. So her main concern is she wants to be able to get around to all stations, really, to develop those players, to help those players with strategies. If she notices something in a game situation that they can work on the next day, so she can actually get to all those stations. Her belief is that it's going to strengthen the JV program. That's also her future of her varsity program. So it just feeds right into her following varsity years. It becomes hard to develop those players if she's personally not able to observe them all throughout that practice time. Help develop those young girls into what they could be for Jeff West softball. So the 4th coach also helps with practice, more consistent player development, more efficient use of practice time as coaches are able to spend more time with their position groups, and better preparation for JV players to step into that varsity role when they're needed.
And coming off of the success from last year, she wants to continue to grow that. She doesn't want to stabilize. She wants to be able to continue to elevate their play and their skill, and would like to use that success as a springboard versus we're happy with status quo of where we're at.
Yeah, one of our goals was, be the best. Now, I know it
Well,
sucks.
building the culture.
It's
too.
building a culture, and it sucks. I mean, it's not, these poor coaches don't make money. I mean, what are we?
But it depends on the way our structure's set up. If it's an assistant first year, I think this assistant softball is around 2,800. If they're 5, 6, 7 years, it might be 3,200. So the way our structure's set up, it all depends on who their candidate is.
Do they have a candidate yet, or?
I think she has some people in mind, but we haven't
Yeah,
tried not to
okay.
cross that bridge yet because we weren't there.
Sure, that makes sense.
Can we discuss this in executive session?
You can only discuss a person if you're talking about a person.
Yes. I do have some questions.
Well, normally when we talk about things like this, we are in during vote.
Well, we're talking about the position. We're talking about if we're going to open the position up.
Which is not.
Whether or not we're gonna add-
Where
I do have some questions surrounding like current existing coaches, what the plan is,
We can do
etc.
that.
Like that's what I have some questions surrounding that.
Yeah, no, this is for, as a board, are we going to vote yes or no or whatever to add the 4th coach?
I get that. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I think there's some things I'd like to know about existing before making a decision
On a board.
I just would like,
Yep.
yeah,
That is a yes.
okay.
So I guess.
I don't not support that. I just have some questions.
So do we table this then and?
Can we talk about it when we get back from exec? Okay.
I guess
Or you could go into executive session and come back out.
on the grounds of, I guess, employee
Or like,
Personnel.
personnel.
yeah, this is.
How long?
I just have a few minutes, so 5 minutes or at tops.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Make a motion, girl.
Do you have the paper? I don't have the cheat.
Conclude.
Yes, admin. Yeah. I'm not good answers. Mr. President, I move to enter executive session per KSA 75-4319 for a period of 5 minutes at 8:14 PM to discuss personnel issues of non-elected personnel under coma exception, including Dr. Neuenswander and admin, with the open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 8:19 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Like 8:20 now.
Well,
About some great deals. Someone passed away and there's a lot of bargains.
Don't read that. Don't.
It appears
I just saw
Brandon.
Kelly.
I have a board member that had their email hacked.
I just saw Kelly and I'm like, that's why I'm like, this was like.
Brandon's on it.
Yeah.
And Brendan Riddell
And he got it, Braden actually got it as well, so.
is
As soon as I saw the money thing, that's why I was like, this is.
on it.
Perfect.
Okay, so, our best, I guess we are back to 5.7 edition of the high school softball coach.
Nope,
do you want me to move?
nope. I'll play devil's advocate again.
Lay it on us, John.
So we keep adding to all of our extracurriculars and I don't know where it's at on the agenda. Negotiation. We're still negotiating in February. And no matter what we come to, they're not going to get a raise, but we keep adding coaches. And I will say, this is no reflection of you guys, because this is the best presentation we've had for one thus far. And I hate it, but I still feel like that we're adding, at some point, we have to make the decision that we're gonna get our budget right and not continue to make it worse. And that's all.
We're punishing students by doing this, by not
We're punishing students in the classroom by doing it.
by not giving the teachers more money.
Yeah, they should, their wages should not reflect on the teaching.
Well, and just to clarify, they're not getting a raise in addition to step and move.
I know,
For the year.
right.
So I just want to make sure we're super clear that they
Right.
are getting
But
something, even
We
the ones
also
that
have to
are left
remember
at
that
the
it's
end.
not our money.
No, yeah.
And we're just
Absolutely.
saying, you get a coach, you get a coach, you get a coach.
I feel like this though is a concern of like, if something were to happen,
Safety.
it is a big liability to
I'm
not
gonna say
have
someone's not.
an additional.
How old was the manager last year?
She was an
Eighth
eighth
grade.
An eighth grader. We had
We have
an eighth grader
graders
standing
out
there
there.
I'm
on
not
the third
surprised.
base line.
You could absolutely have all of this.
I
just wanted to speak my.
I know.
No, I-
In a perfect world, all of our Doug, wouldn't you like to have a raise every year? You would like to have a raise. I would like to have a raise every year. I get where they're coming from, but I also
But
get
I'm
where
not, I'm not
these
saying
kids are coming
that. I'm
from.
saying that we're going to the community asking for 17.5 million, and we're just saying, oh, it's only $3,000 for this coach. And
No,
now we've
it's
done
not.
it 3 times and.
I get it. I come from a place of trying to always think of students first.
Yeah,
And I know
that's
that teachers' salaries absolutely does impact that. I get that completely.
No, it's not their salary so much, but I mean, for 9,000, could we have hired a para, even part-time?
Fiscal responsibility.
It's not their raises, but we're telling them that there's no money for the education side of it, but just on a high level look, there's no money on the education side. We do have a little money for the athletics though.
Should we take just plain devil's advocate? Should we take extracurriculars away from our school? Do you think,
If we have
it would
to.
help the kids? All these kids, that this is all they have. This keeps kids out of trouble. This keeps kids like,
The studies
show you have to keep good grades to continue to play.
Oh, I understand that.
You have
if we're
65
gonna go
kids out
that-
for
we're gonna go
basketball and
that
they
route,
all have to meet
then
this
let's take away
requirement.
all the computers and phones and everything else. Because studies show that those are bad for their education, their cognitive learning, their emotional
Supposed to
well-being.
be. They're not supposed to use phones in school, but yeah.
We can play devil's advocate, but we're here for one purpose, and it's to educate them. And I get it. I was an athlete in high school. I get it. And I'm not suggesting we take it away, but we keep adding to it.
Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I know.
So would this be questioned if we were able to give them a raise this year? Would you be okay?
Oh, I absolutely would. I'm not even basing it.
See, we can't freeze our operating because we can't give teachers a raise. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
No, I understand that.
and
What I'm saying is
Yeah.
from their point of view, they're saying, we don't have money. And it's like, I get it, and
We
I'm
don't
not
have
even,
that
I'm not
much
even
money.
fighting.
We
for
don't
that.
have $500,000 of requests.
Right, but we've
Because
got,
that's-
but how much have we paid into athletics this year?
We still gotta.
We added a-
We still gotta retain some money to operate.
No, let me put it this way, how much have we paid into extra curriculum?
Like clubs, everything,
Everything that's extra curriculum.
so that goes into music, theater, all of them. We'd have to get that, no, I'm just asking, all of those is where we would have to come
Yeah,
up
but
with
to
that fund.
push back
Yeah.
though,
I would-
that motivates these
I would-
kids to do well in school so that
They
they
can
can
participate.
But now we're getting into the socioeconomic aspect.
I would say, our additive schedule. All coaches, sponsors, that includes debate, forensics, because it's all in one, is around 280,000.
And that's just the like, oh, for the salaries, and so.
For- yeah,
And then
I mean,
from that, you could, what do we pay? Uniforms, officials, fees. And I mean, our job is to educate them, not raise them. And I understand that that's
Oh,
motivating
yeah,
for a lot of people.
definitely.
But we also have to look at, to your point, you're saying our job is to educate them, not raise them, but not everybody is sending,
I don't know.
no, not everybody has that outlet.
I know.
And not everybody in our community has that opportunity
Right.
to give them that.
Right.
And I feel like part of the entire educational experience for our young students is to include these extracurriculars that are going to motivate them and get them excited.
Like
And I
forensics.
understand what you're saying about the cost of it, but when I look at the overall picture, to me, it is worth it to have somebody to avoid the liability of us not having an extra adult down there to
Mhm.
protect these students, but also as somebody who played softball when I was younger, as somebody who knows the sport,
And you don't have a daughter playing.
that there's a young individual who's
girl.
a student who could get a line drive right at her, and she's just over chatting away to the people sitting in the dugout or something. There's just a lot of liability with it by not having an extra adult there.
Yeah, I
in
think
my
about
mind.
my 8th grade son right now doing that. Oh my God.
I also would argue that we don't have the luxury of having a myopic view just from one perspective, like from the teacher's eyes. We don't get that luxury. We've got to look at the bigger picture. Part of our board goals was preparing students for what's next. And I would argue that extracurriculars and all those activities do that. And I think they're equally important, in addition to educating. That's where I'm trying to come from anyway. I appreciate where you're coming from.
I've
Yeah.
spoken my piece.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, that's why I got on negotiations, so I could help fight and see what it is. And let me tell you, when you're in that seat, it's eye-opening. It truly is. It's like, when you're not in it, you think all you ever hear is they don't make any money, they don't get this, and then you get in there and you're like, oh my God. Some of them make a lot of money that,
Well, we don't.
so it's things like that.
We don't
So
need
that's
to
what I'm
get
saying.
into
So
that.
it's like, it's playing devil's advocate. I went into that because it was like, they don't have anything. Then you get in there, you're like, oh, maybe there's a misconception.
Yeah, we
of
don't
what
need to
some
get
people
into
have.
that.
So-
Too much more of that.
Yep.
This and that.
I have a question before you move on, Matt.
No, go ahead.
Unless you have, yeah,
No, go.
just, and this is probably for Cole, from a logistics standpoint, and, I'm just thinking dollar and cents. What drove the decision to schedule games on the same day? And do we treat that as well with away games? So when we travel, do all the girls travel together and the bus drops off at one field, then goes to another field and drops off? What does all that look like?
Yes, that's our league bylaws that softball plays on the same nights.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
that's
really?
League wide.
Yes.
Um,
I asked
they
that
had
last
this
year.
It's hard.
It
for
was
our
like that
players,
when I
because
played
A lot
too.
of times Jake will
Dumb.
play up with
Yeah,
varsity and it's really hard
Yeah,
to
they
do that.
can't, because you can't move kids up like in
You have girls
basketball.
running onto Lacey Field at
Yeah.
the fourth inning.
Because someone got hurt, there weren't enough to play. It's like, it was like that when I was in school too. I asked last year when we had to do this.
Back in like 2009, when we had all the budget cuts, they were looking for ways to make things more economical. They would have done baseball, but most towns did not have two baseball fields with mounds.
Yeah,
So they weren't able to do it for baseball, but we looked at a lot of that, of how do we just, reduce the number of times a bus is going and.
that's where mine was going down since last travel.
I asked that last year,
Yeah.
why can't we have them on separate nights?
Mhm.
So then they could do that, but that's what they told me last year, because that was my question.
Okay.
Anyone make a motion? If
I
not,
would move the board approve adding a third assistant coach to Jeff West High School softball.
Fourth.
Third assistant.
Oh, third.
One's
Who's
a-
got four? Why so I put up the fifth, so I was like, it's four, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I got confused too.
I got-
Good, four.
Kelly,
Are we all comfortable with that?
second,
Second, yes.
all in favor? 5-0. Or 5-1.
You're
You're
out.
Somebody-
How do I forget you down there?
You're throwing them off with this.
The next item up we have is student issues 6-1, and this will have to be an executive session. How much?
We really only need Rhonda.
Rhonda? It's Cole and
Cole, we wouldn't need any more tonight unless he's
Run, Cole, run. Back it up, rush.
neither Casey.
thank you, Casey.
Thank you both.
Unless, Rhonda, would you like to have Casey in executive session?
She could add to our.
Might as well.
Oh, never mind, you can't leave.
Casey, you can't run, but Cole runs.
How long do we?
Rhonda, how much time? 15?
Oh, I think that would be plenty.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move to enter executive session per KSA 75-4319 for a period of 15 minutes at 8:33 PM to discuss personnel issues and non-elected personnel under FEMA.
Issues.
Oh, darn it. There we go. For a period of 15 minutes to discuss matters relating to actions adversely or favorably affecting a student under the coma exception, including Dr. Newen-Swander and admin, with the open meeting to resume in boardroom at 8:48 PM.
Including Casey.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, I thought she was part of admin, sorry. And Casey Jensen, Mrs. Jensen.
Second.
On favor? Next up.
Before we all go rushing in.
I don't know, we have been called lately.
Great revenue meetings.
I didn't think you were getting your kid back the other night.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
Yes, Derek, I know.
Oh, those.
We do not have,
on.
are we back in? Good, you're back on. We do not have anything for facility equipment planning. We do have a personal item, 8.1 contract that we need executive session for
Oh.
Do we need or
5 minutes.
I knew you would.
Can we combine?
Rhonda, do you have anything you need to really for our assistant?
This is the
High school
assistant
baseball.
replacing,
No, I don't think so unless there's questions. I could stay for that.
is there anybody?
This is replacing when Terry Stevie
So
moved.
not a new
Head
position.
baseball.
It's not new.
Just
We just
Replacing.
replacing his former position.
No.
Do we need, do
No.
we have any
It's
questions
something
on it?
Yes.
Then let's go to
Okay.
executive session.
Okay.
5-10 minutes?
10, let's do 10.
10.
I'm glad, I actually do have some questions too.
Okay,
I don't.
Mr. President, I move to enter executive session for KSA 75-4319 for a period of 10 minutes at 8:50 PM to discuss personnel issues of non-elected personnel under coma exception, including Dr. Newen-Swander, with open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 9
In
PM.
administration.
Including
Oh, and I'm sorry, I thought you didn't mention, and Rhonda Creighton.
Anybody got a second?
Yeah, second.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, fair. Six,
Sorry
seven.
about that.
Aaron, if you feel like you need some sweets, I got.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll take some sweets on now.
You have a number up there that says call me for issues? I don't get it.
I hear you.
He does not know either.
Did something get reset on our emails?
Yes, everybody needs to reset their.
Okay, okay. I'm like, oh,
I just got it memorized, not good.
Mine was like 500 characters symbols anyway.
Willy Wonka, dang it.
Okay.
We have another one, negotiations, right?
Oh, well, we gotta, no, we gotta, we
Yeah.
gotta do this one first. We got to,
Got to change my password.
we have a contract that we need to,
I move to approve the Jeff Huffless as the assistant baseball coach for high school.
Second.
on favor? 5-1.
John?
My email closed, but
We got, an executive session for negotiation, update on negotiations. How long you guys?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Mr. President, I move to enter executive session per KSA 75-4319 for a period of 10 minutes at 9:02 PM to discuss employer-employee negotiations under coma exception, including Dr. Nguyen Swander, with the open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 9:12 PM.
Second.
On favor? 6-0.
It's not a big, I found that it's better. I brought it for you.
Thank you.
And 10% being productive.
Okay, my friends. Oh, super.
Oh, bro.
Settle in.
Poor Brad always gets that.
The only update I have, and because I provide so many updates on Friday notes and stuff,
I appreciate
it's been a joy working with this student leadership team. We meet again on the 19th at 11:30. I gave them the task of, because this is part of the board's goal on parent community, the whole communication. How do we broadcast anytime we have a student engaged in activity? Because the community wants to see our kids. They don't want to see us. They want to see our kids. And I have 4, a senior, junior, sophomore, freshman, 2 8th graders, 2 6th graders. And they've just been a joy to work with. They looked at, okay, you know, in the event the bond passes, how do we do, you know, even this concept out here, how do we share highlights of things from, you know, it's wide open. And I'll take them on tours of places, but they're really trying to think creatively, even how that might fit into a pathway, because there's a lot of careers and get involved with that kind of stuff. But they've just been really fun to work with, and just listening to them think outside of the box. How do we get students lead it? How do we get, you know, it's just, so.
You said February 19th.
February 19th at 11:30, they meet in this corner classroom. They're going to start bringing in community people that have experience with, you know, just, you know.
Have they come up with any ideas yet, or?
Oh, there are tons of ideas. But what they're really also wanting to look at is going to other school districts that maybe have broadcasting, maybe have student-led, maybe have.
Been long overdue. I can't wait to hear what they come up with.
Where it's not just, you know, 3 adults doing play-by-play, you know.
I was so mad at the Huddle app the other night. from, I'm so.
There was one team that just cut off and didn't come back.
Gosh, so mad.
Which district was it though that used to have the students that did?
Terry, I think. did
Was
some-
it? And there
Bill
was
Calvert does.
Abilene has a really good program.
I got one question for you on the mental health committee. Where are we at on that?
So if one of these three want to update, I didn't put it on the agenda for the update because they met once and we're meeting again.
I couldn't be there.
Yep, Aaron wasn't able to make it. Me and Bo were there. It was all three of our counselors. It was our psychologist. It was social worker, nurses.
Psychology.
Jesus.
I think that's everybody. It was a really, really good group. They spent a lot of time kind of explaining what everybody's role was and exactly what they do. Because I had explained to Bo, we have this group of people, but they're from three different entities between, Kayla, Guidance Center. Between the Guidance Center, Keystone, and Jeff West, we've got three different employers, three different entities. They need to come together and work together. Bottom line is we've got some needs not being met in our general ed population. So we're gonna be discussing that further and going into, for instance, our social worker from Keystone's caseload is 50 students. I think the next highest in our co-op is 20, what'd she say, 27, 28?
Yeah. She said a normal considered one is like 25.
Yeah.
And she's like.
And that's not even counting the general ed students who come see her just because they need a friendly face for 5 minutes. So she is, she's got a huge job right now and could really use a little relief somehow. Whatever that looks like.
And we meet again next Wednesday
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock. So then we can have.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into that a little bit, but it was a lot of time just kind of explaining what everybody did to start with, exactly it looks like.
It's really, it's putting a, we talk about what everybody does, but putting a face to what everybody's positions. Kelly and I met with Casey one day and she just started spouting off people and
We're like, who?
Yeah.
but it's good that you see them in school and then you know what they do.
And what I found
Thank you.
is you didn't have to listen to these ladies talk for 5 minutes. You go, okay, you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And what I thought is you don't see a lot of overlap, but you see a lot of gaps in between what each focus is. And it's like, we need to find a way to fill these gaps.
Whatever.
Well, and when you look at, then you can adjourn, but.
Yeah.
Or do.
Oh, I brought it up.
But when you think about the JAG-K program, and it's, you don't want to label, but there's a percent, it was my half of the graduating class in high school that made the top half possible. So I was, there's a percent, but JAG targets a percent. Well, in those is also some of those kids that are being discussed. So it's just, you're looking at ways to fill gaps with kids. So, yeah.
Anything else? Adjourned.